Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to episode 6 of The Ways We Move. My name is Nicolas Zart, and I will be your host today. And today we're going to talk to James Bell, who is the head of communication for Kia North America. James is a good friend of mine. I've known him for a very long time. We share a lot in common. We're both car guys, and we were both also writers, journalists, I guess. And James went from writing for Kelley Blue Book to working at GM right at the moment when GM was reinventing itself to be the old company it used to be to what it is today. And it's a huge difference for those of you who know the difference. And then he went at Kia, where he works right now. So James talks a little bit about living with an EV, an electric vehicle, for 18 months now, almost 19 months, how much money he saved using that. Why does he drive an electric vehicle? And also to understand the road to being a pragmatic car guy. He has a Volkswagen van at home. I mean, I've always had Alfa Romeos too. And how do we go from that to really embracing electric mobility? We'll also talk about what Kia has in store. For those of you who don't know, I'm actually a big fan of Kia because Kia is one of those companies that keeps on delivering EVs and does not make a big fanfare around it. In fact, they actually have more EVs available than any other car manufacturers today, at least in the United States. And then lastly, we'll talk about a little bit about what is going to happen, what we think is going to happen when it comes to electric vehicles in the United States with the administration that we have that has shown that is not very EV friendly, at least on the surface, despite Elon Musk being part of that administration. The rollback of the incentives and all of that. What does it mean? We'll brush upon that. We'll go back and study all of this in greater details in the meantime. But please, in the meantime, let's hear from James Bell. Well, welcome, James. Please tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about your background and what you're doing right now.
Sure. Yes. Well, yes, Nick, it's great to see you once again. Been too long, but I'm glad we're taking care of that now. I'm actually in North Carolina. Been here for the last couple of days for the grand opening of the new Iona charging network, which is actually they're based here in Durham, North Carolina area. There's a couple stations that are open around the country. I think the one in Houston just also went online. But they've got very aggressive plans as laid out by the CEO Seth at the grand opening celebration yesterday. So today I'm back at the station here in a town called Apex, North Carolina, where they have a station, and we're just getting some sexy photos of a Kia EV9 getting juiced up.
Oh, I love those EVs that you guys have. For those of you guys watching us and listening to us, James and I go back a long way. In my previous life, when I was a journalist, and James, by the way, also
And
is
I
an
think I
old
lost you.
journalist. Ah, okay, sorry. Yeah, I guess the connection isn't all that great. Up, there we go. You're back
We're
again.
back. Yeah.
So yeah, I was telling everybody about how we've known each other for quite some time when we were both
Oh, yes.
journalists, and James was also incremental in helping me find EVs from Kia. And I
Hmm.
just want to tell you the quick little story is I think Kia really made such an impression on me when I tried the very first Soul EV, and
Oh,
back
yes.
then. It was the iMEV, right? And it was the Tesla Roadster. So we had those two opposite end of the spectrum. But the Soul was the first EV I test drove that didn't send me frantically looking for a plug at the end of the day. 90 miles range. You know what? For me, it was like, oh, I can drive 2 days without charging. So I fell in love with Kia. After that, you invited me to Santa Cruz, and we had a whole weekend test driving the Nero EV, which I thought, today is the best bang for your buck. You can't go wrong with that.
It's true.
240 plus maybe 250 miles a range with it, and for the price and everything, you just
Yep.
can't beat it anyway. So tell us a little bit about what's going on with Kia in terms of EVs. I see the EV6. It's a beautiful looking car. My heart is set on the EV4. And today, by the way, funnily enough, we're in the market for an EV, so we're doing a bit of research right now. So this is perfect on time.
It's all going on. I like this, Nick.
So tell us a little bit about what's going on with Kia right now with EVs. Tell our readers about what is happening. What do you guys have in store? Yeah, go ahead, please, because I mean, you guys have actually a lot of EVs plus plug-in hybrids and of course hybrids.
I think the easiest way to explain what Kia is doing is, I was going to say gas pedal down, but that'd be the wrong word. How about accelerator down? Because we are all in and very, very aggressive in all things electrified. So, as you mentioned, hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and of course EVs. And we've got the EV3 and EV4 fully dedicated. It's probably
Oh,
12 months kind of thing. And then carrying on with the Nero EV, of course, the EV6 just had an update that we showed off at the LA Auto Show just a few months ago. And then the EV9 just continues to wow the crowds. And so, yeah, we're going to have what, four or five? Yeah, five dedicated EVs in our lineup in a matter of time. I think that's more than Tesla when I think about it.
it's way more than Tesla, way more than anybody else, save for BYD, but that's not really for us over here. I also want people to know one thing is Kia is really an amazing car company. By the way, you're not paying for this, so I'm really saying this. It truly comes from me. But what you guys really offer a lot of the options directly
Yeah.
into the base price, and this is what makes you stand out from other car makers in general. And in many ways, I always thought of when I think of Kia, I think of especially Kia and Hyundai. I don't know if people know, but you guys sort of kind of work together. But you're replacing Honda and Toyota. Is that a fair way of looking at it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to explain it is this, Nick. As you said at the start, I was on the media side of things, so I got to learn a little bit about every car company, and then I joined General Motors, learned a whole bunch about that company. Then Kia knocked on my door, and I've been here now for about 8 years. I think the easiest way to describe why we're in the situation here in 2025 that we are when it comes to electrification is what I learned about this company. And that is, and this is in marked difference, I will say, compared to how General Motors operates. And I think we see the results of some of that.
Yes. Yes.
But if I was to say it straight, this company, when it decides to do something, it
Yeah.
happens.
Yes.
Whether it's good or bad decision, you just got to trust. But I can assure you that anything that this company puts its mind to is going to happen. And in 2021, kind of commensurate when we launched our new logo, we announced our Plan S strategy. And I think it's 14 new EVs globally before 2027, something like that. And that is on pace. You see a lot of other
Yeah.
car companies that
True.
are changing their plans, changing their model mix, reducing production, things like that. Not here. And I think it's, as you said this a moment ago, it's really connected to the full range of electrification. We want customers to have options. We think that our EVs are cream of the crop, as kind of confirmed by winning North American Car and Utility of the Year for the EV6 and EV9 in the last couple of years. So we know that the vehicles are fantastic, and that investment is going to be paying off in more and more models that are going to be more and more affordable. That's also the Kia way. Not only does what the company says is going to happen, but we are also always cognizant of the Kia brand, while it's changed so much over the last 6, 7, 8 years. Well, I'll just say 8 years because that's when I joined the company. So see what I'm saying there? I did it. Just kidding, by the way. Just kidding. I would
That's
say that.
true.
Well, okay, then I'll let you say that. How about that? But I think, yeah, it is a company that's just, when it becomes dedicated to doing something, it will do it. And what we see in electrification is the company saying, we're going to become a leader in this space. We're going to become, well, they go as far as say the leader. And here in 2025, we're starting to get into that space. I think when people come and shop Kia, they know that we have value. They know that we have beautiful vehicles, and they also know we're very deep into electrification, and especially our EVs. So once we get, I think the next big move is away vehicles that are more kind of benign and more into just easy utility, affordable utility.
Right.
An electric vehicle is best for just scooting around town. It's not for long road
Absolutely.
trips. It's just run to the store, pick up the kids, go get the dog from the vet, all this kind of stuff. And that's what the EV3 and EV4, which are coming out, as I said, in the next 12 months or so, are going to do just great.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, you made a lot of really great points about that. Is a lot of companies do talk a heck of a lot, and then of course they get themselves in a situation where they have to go, well, we're backing off and everything. Kia
Yeah.
has never done that. It doesn't talk a lot, but it produces a heck of a lot, and that's something that I've always really enjoyed about you. On top of the quality of the cars, and also, you know what, they're fun to drive, and just in general. Tell us a little bit about your experience because I hear that
Yeah.
now you've been driving an EV for a little while. So how does it feel like? What's going on with that?
Mm. You know, it's funny at this event here for Iona Charging Network yesterday. We had a whole collection of different EVs there from all the companies that are part of the consortium that's building this network, and there was a Rolls-Royce Spectre there, and I was talking to somebody. I said, "Oh, have you driven one of these?" And they said they hadn't. And luckily, I had a chance previously. And I think the easiest way to describe the EV lifestyle, and I knew this before I got my own EV6, and it's only been confirmed, is that the things that you would equate with a Rolls Royce or a Bentley or a luxurious ride is part of the affordable EV life. And what I mean by that is
Wow.
torque. Tons of, obviously, oh,
Yes.
there's a spot on the freeway I need to join. Boom, you're there.
Boom.
So that linear feeling between the brain, your foot, and the throttle to accelerating and getting where you want, it's a very direct line, no gear shift. So and that's what you would equate with luxury, right? I mean, just that smooth delivery of power. The other part is the quietness. I
Mm.
feel as if now, after driving an EV6 for 18 or 19 months, I arrive at my destination more kind of relaxed, for lack of a better term, because you don't have the engine grinding away in front. You don't have
Yes.
gear shifts. You don't have just noises. It's a kind of just a more of a whispery, quiet experience. And then, of course, the last luxury I would say is just not going to the darn gas station. I really quite enjoy popping in to get a Gatorade and then taking off. And so, and I brought up
Yes.
Rolls Royce because all those, well, except for the gasoline part, but the first two, the power delivery and the quiet ride, those are things that have been always equated with brands like Rolls Royce. You can
True.
have that experience, that luxurious experience, in a you know 35,000 Nero, as you talked about earlier. So that's the way I see EV life. And so for anybody who's considering it, know that you're going to be more relaxed and feel more luxuriated, and that's probably something you didn't expect.
Especially at that price point. And it's something that I want to tell our
Yeah,
listeners and our watchers is that you and I are car guys. I mean, we grew up
that's right.
with combustion engines. You have a beautiful Volkswagen van, 1960s, that you've been working on lovingly. I used to have
Yes.
my Alfa Romeo. Sadly, I sold them. I knew I shouldn't have done that. But anyway, so we come from that background. But you're right. In 2007, when I drove an AC propulsion e-box and the very first Roadster, I came up with my 1972 Alfa Romeo Spider with a race engine, and let me tell you, on the highway, I had a sword in my mouth, and it's like, come on, right? And
Yeah.
that constant multitasking and everything. I sat behind the wheel of my first TV, and I was zen. I
Yeah.
was relaxed for the first. I mean, and in LA traffic, being relaxed is an achievement in and of itself,
It's a
right?
negotiation.
But
Yes. Yes.
you said another thing that was really wonderful. You're right. There was an opening, and all I had to do was step on the accelerator, and I was there. And I had that surge of adrenaline, and then it came back down again. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow. So to all of my friends who are so, oh, I'll miss the blah, 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 the fumes, the this, that, I'm like, heck no. You know what? It's like beer. I like IPA. I like lagers. It's like wine. I like red wine. I like, it's still wine. It's still beer, but it's a much more quiet, and it just feels great because you've got all the performance and the luxury part of it too. So that's something I really have enjoyed. And
The,
you've
the
hit the
easiest
hammer on the nail there.
the easiest word for it is it's easy. It's an easy
True.
transportation life. And
True.
Hey,
True.
here in 2025, something that's comfortable and
Ah,
easy, that feels kind of
yeah,
nice.
yeah, that feels kind of nice. Yeah. In fact, I've been reading the latest reports right now, and it's all about how EVs have matched now gasoline cars in terms of reliability, affordability, TCO, so on, so forth. I mean, it
Yes.
even got to, we're going to talk a little bit about these guys too, but a Tesla Model 3 right now has the same TCO as a Toyota Camry.
There you
Wow.
go.
I mean, come
Yes.
on. Wow. Can you imagine that 20 years ago, 15 years ago when we started? No, hell no. So
Not even
so
10 years
here's
ago.
here
No.
yeah, exactly. So here, oh, wow. Tell us a little bit more about now we have to talk about the white elephant in the room. We are in the US. We have a new administration.
Yes.
Some will say it's the end of the world. Some will celebrate, and we're in the middle going, yeah, whatever. It doesn't change. I'm still getting an EV. I'm still
Mhm.
doing everything that I'm doing. It doesn't change our lives one iota because guess what? I'm the one who buys, right? Nobody else,
All right.
right? So tell us a little bit about how do you see this year unfolding and the next few years? How do you see Kia maneuvering all of this, considering that you guys have a really big portfolio? What's your take on all of this?
I was asked that question quite a bit during the campaign. And now that the election's over and we're contending with what we're contending, I cannot I cannot understand how EVs got politicized. I mean, I do actually because one candidate did that. I understand, but the fact that it got that way is crazy. The beautiful thing is, though, is
Yeah.
that Kia just remains, as I said earlier, pedal down. We are going to negotiate. We are very negotiate the changes, I should say. We're very nimble, uh, quick to pivot organization. So if
Yeah.
as things come at us, and then as things come at us, and then they go away, and then they come back, and then they go away, we're okay with that. We can navigate those rough waters very very well, and have for many years. So um, it's a shame that things got strangely politicized, but at the same time, we're also paying no mind to that and going forward because we know, as you do, and I'm sure many of your listeners and readers, we know that this is the future. There's not big investment going on by any manufacturer in internal
Right.
combustion. We are keeping, looking for every last drop of efficiency in internal combustion engines. We're merging them with hybrid packages so they can obviously get even more efficient. But there's there's not going to be any new engine that's ground up
No.
redesign or
No.
redo. That's done, folks. It's going to be electric, and it will, whether that's electrified, as I said, with hybrid plug-in or full electric, it's on. It's just there's no turning back. It goes back to the old issue of when horse-drawn carriages were being replaced by gasoline.
I
I'm
was going
sure
to
there was
say that.
yeah,
Exactly.
well, it's a true thing. And 120 years ago, I'm sure there were a lot of people that
Yes.
said, "Oh, I'm keeping my horses. Those gasoline things are never going to work out." Okay, I get it. It was a transition. It was a big curve in the road that nobody saw coming. But the horses went out to pasture, so to say, and just for
Exactly.
more fun than work with a horse life now. And gasoline took over. We're now seeing that transition away from gasoline into electrification. And if I can just add one quick thing, Nick, I think it's important to recognize that we are not espousing removal of gasoline powered
No.
engines, or there's a place for those, and there will be for decades. But the transition's on. The To use a bad electrical analogy, the light switch has been flipped.
I think you're totally right. And there's so many things that you said here that brought a few things to mind. Do you remember Bob Lutz from way
Mm-hmm.
back then at GM? There's one thing that he said that I always tip my hat to this guy. He said, back then we were going through the electric cars as the Obama car or something like that. So it became politicized.
Yeah,
And Bob Lutz,
that's right.
being a hardcore Republican, went on Fox and just said, "What is this nonsense? I'm a hardcore Republican, and I can tell you that my GM Volt and Bolt are not Obamacare, Obama this, or Obama whatever, whatever." And I always
Yes, I
thought, wow,
remember.
this is really great. And I thought, great, we finally put that last nail on the coffin, right? but it still rears its ugly head, and I just don't understand that. Here's another thing I just heard not too long ago. So we're shopping for an EV right now, and I hear from a family member, "Oh my gosh, wait, be careful. If the battery runs out, it's $30,000." And
Oh,
of
yeah.
course, I've been in this for so long, and I'm thinking, "Oi, where do I start with that one?" First of all, when was the last time you heard somebody change the battery pack of an EV? First of all, under warranty, it gets changed. Second of all, even if it's not under warranty, worst case scenario, $12,000. Yeah, that's a bit of a price, but can you buy a new car for $12,000 in the US? No, you can't. When did that ever happen? Well, usually it's an accident, wrong charger, yada, yada,
Yes.
yada. All the tests prove exactly the same thing, that these EVs will outlast your gasoline car engine, right? So my Volvo XC70 has 175,000 miles, and man, it is acting up and it's asking for $5,000 worth of transmission. I'm thinking,
Mm,
not really, because you know what? For four times as much, I can buy now a used EV. So it makes no sense to me, right? And then, very lastly, you said something that was interesting about the gasoline engine. And I think this is something that a lot of people don't understand is one third of your gasoline tank moves the car, two-thirds lost in
ah,
heat and friction. So
it's a
I
great
am
point.
really personally ticked off when I hear about, I want to keep everything, so home security, national security, yada, yada. And when I put $100 worth of gasoline in my car, only 33 moves my car. The rest is lost in heat and friction. And most of that money goes abroad to countries that have ties to, oh, God forbid, the whole same thing. Oh my gosh. So I'm paying three times as much for everything, whereas I can use right now electricity generated in my state here
Yep.
locally, local jobs and everything. So yeah, the whole point is moot. And you know what? In this known universe, everything moves, everything changes. So very lastly, to your point, I used to ski a lot before, and when we did the transition from wooden skis to
Ah,
carbon fiber skis, right? Do you know that there were signs that said if God intended us to ski on carbon fiber skis, we would have carbon fiber trees?
jeez.
Holy moly. But you're right. It was the same thing when we transitioned from, at
Yeah,
one point, some guy jumped on a horseback and somebody said, "Are you crazy? We have, legs."
that's right.
Same thing. Steam engine, when they saw the first electric locomotives, they were like, "That's insane. This is the way to go." And it's always the same thing. But, the dogs bark, the caravan moves forward. Nonetheless, it's just the way it is. So,
Transitions are never easy on a personal basis and a overwhelmingly cultural basis too. And but there's certain times where technology is going to lead that and not stop. Carbon fiber skis, electric trains, and electrified personal transportation. Just the way it's going to happen.
yep. So James, I know I want to thank you for taking the time to
Yeah,
do
of
this.
course.
I know you were on a schedule here, and you were
No problem.
very. I'm so happy you could do this even from your car. We had a little bit of a drop here and there, but that's normal. I do look forward to having you again on the
Yes,
ways we
please.
move, because we need to talk about a lot of other things. I'm excited about what's going on right now. I'm super excited about the EV4 personally. It's just, I don't know, the design just won my heart. I want a sedan. I don't want an SUV. I don't want a crossover. I like sedans. End of discussion. If I can have a roadster one day, even better. But we'll get to that part when we get there.
You better
I
have me
just want to
back
thank
then.
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. To any last words of wisdom you'd like to tell our friends here before we go?
You know, just like I said, I'm here in North Carolina near the headquarters of IANA. I recommend to your audiences check out IANA. It's one of those how do I say? Here's the vision I have, and I shared this with the CEO of IANA yesterday. I see a very near future as these stations roll out. And by the way, these are not electrified, like EA stations or EV goes where it's a charger in the back of a Costco parking lot. These are
Yeah.
these will be destinations to their own. And what I see happening is families driving down the road, maybe in an older SUV with the kids in the back or something like that, and as they pass the Iona station, one of the husband or wife saying, honey, we've been thinking about an EV, and if we get one we can go there. It's going to be
Ah,
that kind of a draw. When you first
finally.
see an Iona station, you're going to say, oh, that's a world that I want to be a part of, as opposed to I'm forced to be a part of. And that's how gasoline stations are. They're not wonderful places to be on in
Ugh.
general. Um, these IONA stations are going to be a different thing. So again, I think that yesterday's event was actually pretty historic. It will be a real checkmark moment because the idea of range anxiety we've already pretty much knocked away with 300 plus miles very affordably. The next challenge is charging anxiety, and I think IONA is going to solve that.
Yeah, you're right. And that was the one thing that we did not do very well in the EV industry, which we're tackling in the advanced air mobility industry, is to really focus on the infrastructure. Very
Yes.
last question. This is a question that I always love to talk about because that's what we're supposed to do here is really what drives you? Why not go work at a bank somewhere and just
Uh,
call it a day? Why are you doing this? Are you insane or what?
Hopefully my mother's listening because when I was a young lad, I'll make the story brief. We were at the grocery store and we're at the checkout line, and apparently little me said, "Can I go over to the magazine rack and to get something?" And she said, "Yes." She told me, she tells the story now very proudly that she expected me to come back with a comic book or, Mad Magazine or something silly. Apparently, I came back with all the car magazines. And she looked and she
Wow.
said, "Well, I don't know about that." And then I apparently talked her into it. Went home that night and read them all, cover to cover. My mom said, "Wow, this guy's got some interest in this." Next thing, I'm getting subscriptions for my birthday and stuff. So I've always been having these, and that is just who I am. I just love to know about this industry. So what drives me? The fact that I'm now in it. I'm now
Yep.
privy to driving things that before anybody sees them, knowing things before
Yes.
anybody sees it.
Yes.
I'm now
Yes.
creating the
Yes.
content that I read about when I was 10 years old. That is
That's
pretty
true.
exciting.
That's true. That's true. You're right. Actually, you're right. That's a good transition from being a journalist to working inside the industry is a very
Yeah.
sweet, savory moment. Great.
Yes.
Well, James, thank you very much. I look forward to our next talks. And next, we need to talk a little bit about the convergence of mobility, what electric mobility does, what it brings to us, what the potentials are, and what we've all been working on. So, thank you for being with us.
Mhm.
Please like, share, subscribe, and we'll be right back with more fun interviews coming up next on the ways we've moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.